I recently read Decoding Greatness by Ron Friedman. Decoding Greatness offers an alternate path to being great at what you do. Most people think there are only two ways to greatness: leverage a talent or practice more than anyone else. The talent path says discover and double down on a talent to become great, like Michael Phelps doubled down on the perfect body for swimming to become the greatest Olympian of all time. The practice path says put in thousands of hours of intense, feedback-rich, deliberate practice in a field you want to excel in, and you will find greatness. But there's a third way to attain greatness: reverse engineer greatness. Every example of greatness in sport, art, or whatever field you're in contains a hidden blueprint for greatness. A code that, if discovered, will save you many hours of practice and allow you to leap past people who are more talented than you. Start reverse engineering greatness by collecting examples of greatness, then using various techniques to decode greatness and discover an underlying blueprint for greatness. Let me show you exactly how to do that. First, collect examples of greatness. Most masters were collectors of other master works. David Bowie collected records. Julia Child collected cookbooks. Director Quentin Tarantino spent so much time consuming movies that his local video store hired him as its resident film expert to advise other customers. Van Gogh had more than 1,000 Japanese prints to his name, despite being incredibly poor his whole life. Award-winning chef Michelle Bernstein tells aspiring master chefs to spend whatever money they have on eating at great restaurants so they can expose themselves to greatness. In the book, Friedman says, studies indicate that simply consuming examples with an underlying structure leads you to detect their patterns, even when you're not consciously trying to learn a thing. Psychologists call this implicit learning. Start your journey to greatness by collecting examples of greatness. The more examples you collect, the more likely you'll see a pattern unfold. If you were to collect Billboard Top 100 songs, you'd probably detect that danceable songs with happy lyrics and a 4x4 time structure routinely occupy the list. Or if you're a director and collect blockbuster films, you might notice that scripts with a broad cast of characters, little to no vulgarity, and a strong, compelling nemesis is a blueprint for many blockbuster movies. Start collecting examples of greatness by creating a greatness library. If you're a marketer or writer, start a Google Doc and capture the greatest headlines you've encountered or the greatest openings to articles. If you're a stand-up comic or aspiring podcaster, start an audio library with clips of the greatest jokes you've ever heard or the greatest interviews you've ever listened to. If you want to make great videos, create a great list playlist on YouTube that inspire you to make videos of your own. After you amass a collection of great work, be like the hero in your favorite heist movie and use special techniques to crack the code to the vault of greatness. Step 2. Decode great work. Decoding great work requires uncovering an underlying structure to great work. The key, Friedman says, is to look beyond what is evident on the surface and find a hidden structure that reveals both how an object was designed and, more important, how it can be recreated. Here are 3 effective techniques you can use to uncover hidden blueprints to greatness. Technique number 1, copyworking. When acclaimed author Joe Hill was in a writing rut, he put his book aside and started copying pages from his favorite book, The Big Bounce by Elmore Leonard. Every day for 2 weeks, Hill wrote out the first 2 pages of Leonard's book, sentence by sentence, to get a feel for Leonard's rhythm and the way he wrote dialogue. After 2 weeks of copying, Hill found his own rhythm and resumed writing his thriller. Hill learned this technique from his father, Stephen King. Start copyworking to decode master works by studying an exceptional piece of work or a remarkable performance and recreating it from memory. Copyworking will teach you the stylistic tendencies and organizational decisions of the greatest people in your field, alive or dead. If you're an aspiring athlete, study and mimic the practice routine of your favorite athlete to get a feel for how they prepare for competition. As you copy their movements from memory, ask yourself, how does this contribute to greatness? If you're an aspiring chess master, study masterful games and recreate them on the board from memory to get a feel for the grandmaster's decision-making process. Technique number 2, reverse outlining. Great creators go from outline to finished product. So your job is to work your way back from a finished product to an outline. By working backward, you can craft a blueprint that you can use to do great work. When you hear a great speech, or watch a great video, or listen to a great interview, imagine an outline the creator could have used. For example, if you're listening to the most popular TED Talk of all time, Do Schools Kill Creativity by Sir Ken Robinson, reverse outline the structure of his talk. Introduction, thesis, anecdotes to support thesis, status quo, current challenge, solution, and inspirational story. Then collect a few metrics, like what portion of the talk each point occupied. Introduction, 13%, thesis, 2%, anecdotes to support thesis, 21%, status quo, 25%, current challenge, 5%, solution, 10%, and closing story, 25%. While you're at it, list the number of questions posed, 25, the number of jokes delivered, 40, and the number of times the thesis was repeated, 3. Now, you have a rough blueprint for crafting a great speech. Technique number 3, contrasting. Take a piece of work from your greatness collection and put it next to a similar piece of work that is good but not great. Then ask, what's the difference? And what makes the great work special? Note the differences between the good and the great in a greatness notebook. After several months of doing this exercise, find patterns in your notebook and collect the common insights to generate a greatness checklist that you can use before starting your next project. Now, copyworking, reverse outlining, and contrasting are reliable ways to discover a greatness blueprint. However, you can't simply follow that blueprint and expect greatness. The threshold for greatness is constantly moving, and people's tastes are constantly evolving. Therefore, you must evolve your greatness blueprint. Look at Marvel Studios as an example. Marvel clearly has a blueprint for producing huge blockbuster movies. Each movie seems similar, but oddly fresh and enjoyable. How do they do it? Well, Marvel brings in new directors for each film, from outside the superhero genre. That's why Thor Ragnarok was way funnier than Thor The Dark World, because The Dark World was directed by a Game of Thrones alumni, and Ragnarok was directed by an improv comic. Do something similar to Marvel Studios to add freshness to a greatness blueprint by leveraging outside influences. You could do this by hiring new contractors and working with different team members, or spending time with people who are great in different fields and incorporating insights that you gain from them into your work, or always seeking a broad range of experiences and skills that you can bring into your work in unexpected ways. In the end, reverse engineer your way to greatness by collecting examples of greatness, and then decode those examples with copyworking, reverse outlining, and contrasting. Once you discover a greatness blueprint, evolve it by using outside influences to chart a new path. The road to greatness isn't easy, but it's made easier through reverse engineering. That was the core message that I gathered from Decoding Greatness by Ron Friedman. This might be the best book I've read this year. I highly recommend it. If you would like a one-page PDF summary of insights that I gathered from this book, just click the link below and I'll be happy to email it to you. If you already subscribe to the free Productivity Game email newsletter, this PDF is sitting in your inbox. If you like this video, please share it. And as always, thanks for watching and have yourself a productive week.